Okay, let's go.
Hi, my name's Nikki, and I'm here with Katrina. We are here today to tell about a woman's journey through life that may have ended her up on a rocky road, but has been smooth sailing, and how Paws in prison may have contributed to that. So, thank you for meeting with me, Katrina.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So, Katrina, I want you just to tell people about you. What was happening with you prior to your incarceration? You can give as many or little details as you want to give, and just what you were going through that ended you up in prison, how your prison sentence was going, and then we will hopefully dive into the pause in prison aspect of it.
Okay. So I guess my whole life really, has always been touched by substances. I grew up around people that used, pretty much everyone I knew was like that. And so when I got into adulthood, I started at an early age and I always wanted to do something different, but I just didn't really know how to get there. I always fell back. I could never figure out that it was the things that I was doing. Um, that was stopping me from all of my goals. I tried to get into college a couple times, completely destroyed that with my addiction. And then, you know, um, so this last time that I was in prison was the third time I had been there. Um, and at this point, it just drastically got worse over the years, to where I gave up everything that I like really wanted to do and loved, and well, everything in my life. And so I knew that I desperately wanted a change. And this last time that I was arrested, I just remember I prayed that day, which is something I never did, because I was just so miserable in my situation. And there was 21, and just a sense of relief. I knew I was going to prison. I didn't know how long I was just glad to not be in the situation I was in anymore. And I'd always heard about Lockhart. I'd never been there the prior times I was in prison. And when I was in prison before, of course, I got off the substances. I thought, life is going to be great, but I didn't really learn anything different. So I got out just sure, like I had it on my own will. And did the exact same things I was doing. And so I'd heard about Lockhart, I'd heard about the programs. Of course, everybody wants to go there. Um, so this last time, at first, I went to another unit, hobby, and I was thinking, like, all right, this is it. This is just what it's going to be. And one night they told me to pack it up and go to Lockhart. So when I got there, I'd heard about the Paws program for years. I've always liked animals, taken a lot of them home that I could never take care of because I couldn't take care of myself back then. But I instantly, that first week, I think maybe even that first or second day I was there, I put in for the Paws program. And about a week later, you came to interview me, you and a couple other people from the program. And I was moved in there. Um, and I loved it right off the start. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I was doing something good with my time. I was learning. I've always enjoyed learning. That's really been the only goal I've ever had for myself was to graduate college. And I just never quite got there. But so I loved learning new stuff and the opportunity it gave me. And I mean, I in the program, I guess I don't even think I'd been in there for a year, and I was given the opportunity to be a mentor in there, which I really, really enjoyed. And I use a lot of those skills today. You know, um, I was nervous at first, because I had beat myself up so much in my addiction that I was really unsure of myself. And even getting up in front of my peers and having to speak was really hard. But I really learned to believe in myself and have confidence in myself, and the support that everyone gave in there. I mean, even though we were in prison, like it didn't feel like we were in prison. It was such a progressive and positive environment. And then we had the dogs and we were learning to love them and they loved us, you know. it really, I didn't even notice it was happening at first. I think actually my grandparents kind of, whenever I talked to them, they kind of pointed out some of the changes, but they could see the changes that the program was giving me. But it did. It gave me a new confidence in myself. I believed in myself again. I learned to work with others. Uh, I'm really, really grateful for the opportunities I was given there, because it taught me so much about myself. And I don't think that, I mean, even though I wanted something different, I don't think I'd be as far as I was if it wasn't for the skills and everything that I learned there. And then when I got out, at first I wanted to work with dogs, and I attempted in the area. So I moved to Oklahoma, where my grandparents are, but just nothing panned out with that. So I ended up actually getting a job that someone had recommended to me at a treatment center, um,
Wow.
which oddly enough, I've noticed, in working there. So I work with other individuals early in recovery, which is super crazy at times. But it's also really rewarding. But I actually use a lot of those communication skills in the program. Like whenever I first started, because I teach groups there as well. And so I refer back a lot of times to the things in communication and working with the women in Paws and program prison that I learned. So I find that really cool. That I was able to take those skills and use them in all aspects
Absolutely.
of my life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I am so proud of you. I know that you're making a positive impact out there. It makes me very actually emotional because I can remember you getting up to teach and you just turning bright red and you getting shy. And so for you to be taking those skills and now using them in everyday situations to help and heal people out there, whether they know it or not at this time, it makes me pretty emotional. I'm super proud of you. So is this something that you plan on to continue doing?
Yes, actually. So in the time that I've worked here, I became first a PRSS, which is a peer recovery support specialist, and then in April I became a certified case manager. So that's what I do now is I'm a case manager, in outpatient. But I just got accepted back into school. I tried last year and they denied me due to my criminal record. And so I was really disappointed about that. But I was like, well, I'll just maybe just not right now. And I kept working. And then I put together a whole packet this year. My boss wrote a letter, everything that I've been doing in treatment. And so they just accepted me to their psychology program.
Oh,
So I start in
wow.
January.
That
Yeah.
is amazing, Katrina. I know that you were one of the scholarship recipients while in Paul's in
Yeah.
prison. So I know you got to get a little bit of back to school type situation there.
Yeah.
I donated, in from all the people that come and help support our nonprofit, which is, Friends of Paul's in Prison. And I remember how dedicated and studious you were to it and how, your on-time grades and you just kept up with it. And to the point that when you were permanently paroled, you contacting us to let us know that you had finished it. And I just think that that's vital. It's a stepping stone, whether you go in that direction or not. That was kind of out of your hands. I don't know what Oklahoma's laws are exactly. I know in Texas, you had got right in. But, I guess it's different in every state, which people need to know because, we don't all end up in the same spots, you know? So I have a question for you. So if you
Okay.
could give back to anybody something that you got given in Paul's in Prison and the program, what would it be?
Um, I think it would be that confidence. Um, Definitely the confidence. I haven't done anything else in prison that, I mean, most of us that end up in that program, we've had animals or and stuff and think that we know things but we don't actually, most of us have not been trainers. That's not our background. And to show us that we can do something that we're not familiar with, and kind of get you out of that shell and let you know that you can accomplish other things, um, really lets you know that you can accomplish anything.
Absolutely. That makes me so proud. And I'm so proud to call you my friend. I know that I did some time with you a little bit, and to see successful stories get out, and then whether they become dog trainers, whether they go in the dog business, whether they become successful counselors, it just goes to show that something worked, right? So there's so many people that get out and go back because they don't have that something, that I truly think that our program instills, like you said, the confidence into somebody where they can go on and succeed in their dreams no matter what their background.
Yeah, well, and something I've noticed too, from the people in the program, like I mentioned, I've been to prison two prior times, and it seems like, people don't really get out of that cycle. A lot of the people I was in prison with, they go back to prison. I've even been in prison with them more than one time. But I talk to a lot of the girls, or at least, catch up on social media, and so many of them are doing well. It's like almost everybody I was in that program with is successful. I hang out with a couple of them sometimes, and they're just living really, really well. And I really think so much of it is a benefit to the buildup that we got in that program.
Well, again, that makes me emotional, and I'm not just a crybaby. You know that. So I just want to thank you, Katrina, for meeting with me today. I know for a fact that your story is going to reach somebody and touch somebody, which is what you're doing in your counseling anyway. So it just can't end with us. It has to keep going, and this program is beneficial for years to come. So thank you for meeting with me.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay, let's go.